You did mention a bit about, like, obviously you talked a little about like getting to know your students, and you talked about the numbers stuff with seeing how their mood is, how they're feeling that day. But what are some other ways you got to know your students personally, like their personality, how they act in certain ways? Like, was there any strategies you used, or like just in general, just talking to them?
So something I like to wander around the school at break time and lunchtime. I think like it's just something I do. Like I want to get some fresh air, so I'll get out. And as I walk through the school, I also make sure I say hi to as many kids as I possibly can. I like build like little bantery relationships with some of them. Like there's 3 students in my school that I call the 3 musketeers because they're always together, kind of thing. So it's like, oh, where's the 3rd musketeer if one of them's missing, and they want to share that about you. If you see the kids that are playing on the basketball court, you take note, they like basketball, and you can bring that into, because if a kid hates you and then you come in and go, oh, how was basketball at break time? They're like, oh, and suddenly you care about what I do in my life. So having an understanding of these kids, like actually in the non-educational time, let's call it that, the non-teaching time, that's when you get the best idea of who these kids are. I also quite like going to, so we have detentions after school every day. Even if I've given no detentions, I don't give many detentions, to be honest, because I like to not, if I can help it. But I'll often just wander into the detention room and like go and say, oh, what happened? And like talk it through with them and just, oh man, that's really rough, why would you do that? Like, and actually have that conversation. Like sometimes make a joke about it, even though like they did something naughty, like make a joke, make like harsh about it, and just in that moment it's like they go, oh yeah, Sir's alright, he's like quite happy to talk this through, and he's not judging me, he's not going to hold it against me. So again, it's like letting them know that you care. It's just going out.
I feel like it would paint you as more of like human to them, rather than like literally just like their teacher. It's like, oh, like this is someone that like that's nice that you can talk to, that like you can maybe feel safe with, that kind of stuff. Yeah,
it's all about feeling safe.
Yeah.
That's when they start to open up about whatever's going on. Even if there's nothing going on in the future, if there's something that they need help with, they go straight to you. So it's very important.
Yeah, they do. A lot of kids do think teachers are robots. I'm pretty sure they think we just like plug in and then start up again.
Because you spoke a lot about like supporting different kids and like building those relationships with them. How do you go about preventing those students you have built such a close relationship with from potentially overstepping any personal or professional boundaries?
So this is something that's really important within safeguarding in general, because often, like depending on the student, maybe they don't have a close parental link themselves, maybe they are, and they kind of attach that onto you possibly. If this is going on, there's healthy and there's unhealthy. It's if they and as long as the student knows where the lines are, then you're going to be okay. Like, as in, something I do is you just put in place boundaries that are necessary. So if someone's getting too close to you, too attached to you, you report it. That is the first thing you do. You share it, you let the school know what's going on, and then let the experts actually talk to the student, get to know the student, and if they believe that it's that student's getting too close to you, then things can be put in place to create a little bit of distance. And that's just what you do, because it's safeguarding. It's about looking after the young people, protecting the young people, and protecting the staff members as well. It's like both parties. It is a privileged position to be a teacher, someone that these young people can talk to. So it can be very difficult actually if they're coming with some very serious, real stuff in their life, and you care about these young people. You want to be there for them as much as you can. So putting those boundaries in place can be difficult, but fundamentally it's more beneficial for that student if you can put those boundaries in place a lot of the time to help them to stand on their own 2 feet. Because if they're relying completely on you, you're not going to be in their life forever, and that's the important thing. And you don't want them to, when they leave at the end of year 11, to feel like they've been betrayed because you're not in their life as regularly anymore. They need to know that they can stand on their own 2 feet. You're there to support them and you care about them, but when they're ready to go, you're ready to let them go. And like, that's really important, to have that level of boundary, so that they know that you're there to support them and launch them off into life once they leave school.
This is more of a personal question.
Okay.
But so you've said you've worked in schools for quite a while, but think back to when you were at school. How has mental health support changed from when you were at school to now? What do you think the change has been?
When I was at school, honestly, I don't know, because I was a teenager. I was completely absorbed in my own little world, as everyone else is. Like, I say this like with no judgment. It's like we're all the same. I think we're all the same. We just care about ourselves. When I was in school, I remember that if I wanted support, there's no way I'd have gone to a teacher. Like that was, in my head, there's just no way I wouldn't have thought about doing it. I'd go to my mates, I'd go to my friends, and that's all it would be. And like, what could the teachers do? That was kind of the mindset. So if that's, I don't know if that's true of the time, I guess, but like for me, that was my experience. So and I'm just, I feel very privileged that I'm in a position now where it feels like young people can come and talk to members of staff, because do you know what, we've been around a while. A lot of teachers do have a bit of wisdom to share, and that's actually quite a good thing.
Bouncing off your point of you not necessarily like having experience of support in your school when you were like a teenager, do you feel that schools in general, schools you've worked in, have had good support for like the mental health of their staff members?
So mental health of staff members, this is an interesting one. So what students don't realise is teachers go through stuff quite a lot, because they're humans. They have stuff going on. They have, they lose loved ones, people pass away. They have someone go through some like horrific life experiences that are going on, but they just don't show it to the kids. And hiding it from the kids is often very difficult. But teachers do. Like, kids very rarely become aware of a member of staff going through a hard time, because it's one of the challenges of being a teacher. It's about putting the young people's needs before your own fit. So if I was going through something and I put on the students a burden of my life, it would be totally unprofessional, totally unfair on that young person. So you have to keep it to yourself. You share it amongst the staff members again. And I would say there's probably not enough support for teachers who go through this. And a part of that is school gets limited funding. Mm-hmm. And if you ask the teachers, they would want the funding to go towards the kids. They wouldn't want to be getting the extra counselling sessions for themselves. They'd want, no, I can deal with this. I'll pay to get counselling outside of school if I need to. As everyone should. Counselling's great, guys. But if you're in the school itself, like, they wouldn't want to take the funding from the kids.
That's too empathetic.
It's too empathetic. We're there because we care about the young people. So I would say yes, there needs to be better support for teachers who are going through this, but also good luck giving it to them, because teachers are good eggs, I think, on the most part. They're there for the young people, and that's what they want to see.
So you mentioned you taught music, drama and dance.
Yes.
What are some ways in your classes that you've explored mental health? Because you did mention that there's some like dark topics, or that you don't really delve deep into, but you delve somewhat into. Like, what's some examples of that, and how did your students react?
There's examples, like, depending on the level you want to go into. So in year 8, for example, in drama, we'll study Macbeth. Now Macbeth has got lots of dark topics in there. Do you know what I mean? You literally have Lady Macbeth commit suicide at one point. There's dark topics that are touched on. With a year 8 class, I'm not going to go into detail about what led Lady Macbeth to go to that dark place kind of thing, but like, there's dark topics that can be just referenced, mentioned. When we get to GCSEs, when it gets a little bit more, you can go a little bit deeper because you're a little bit older, a little bit wiser, a little bit more mature, and they do devising units. Now the students are given freedom to create whatever they want to create. So we give them a starting point, a stimulus we call it, which might be a piece of music or painting or anything really, and they take that and they create ideas from that and develop from that. And our job as the drama teacher there, we can't tell them what to do. We have to facilitate them coming up with their own ideas. And you hear like certain things get mentioned, and you can gently coax more information about that topic, get them to do a little bit of research into that topic. If it's about mental health, which I guess every GCSE student wants to perform about, so you end up having these conversations very naturally within the subjects, without forcing it, without telling kids, today we're going to talk about insert dark issue. The kids will bring it up themselves because it's things that they think about, it's things that are on their mind, particularly with like TikTok and stuff, which is awful. So like, it's having that understanding of that and just giving space for conversation, I think, is what is great about it.
Thank you so much for being on our podcast, Conversations With. It's been amazing having you.
Thank you very much. It was lovely. Had a great time.
Thank you.